Hey, we're talking today with Jesse McGuire, a local resident and artist. Hi, Jesse.
Hi, Shara.
So, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and your artistic journey?
Sure, I'm a Fitchburg native. I grew up in and around the area. I've lived in other states, but I always seem to come back to Fitchburg. I had a fairly tumultuous childhood, which led to drug and alcohol addiction. I've been in recovery for about 10 years. As an artist, I started as most kids do, just doodling and coloring. And as I started to mature as a teenager, I got into graffiti because that was a social situation where I was accepted. Graffiti led to tattooing. Tattooing led to a desire to be a greater artist, which led me to um, do a couple of semesters in community college, which resulted in not a career, but a passion for fine art. And I've
Yeah,
recently gone from acrylic to oil painting.
I know that through your college studies that you also did some mural art.
I did. There was a lot of interest during my studying period from the director of the art department at Mount Wachusett about graffiti and muralism, and a former student who I had actually done some muralism with here in Fitchburg at the old Halloween store had given some lectures, and Mr. Matsuda had secured permission and a grant from the city and the school to do a mural at Jackson Playground, which was an experience. It didn't turn out the way I hoped it would, but it was an experience, and it did lead to some muralism here in the city of Fitchburg. I did a solo project at the Recovery Center in Clegon, which I'm very happy with the results of. It's still on display, and I think it gives a positive message.
Yeah, I think that kind of leads into just, I know we've talked a little bit in the past, and I know that art has been a sort of lifeline for you. So, you want to talk about how art nourishes you, and maybe even in relation to the Recovery Center?
Well, I pursue so many different aspects of art and music as well that for me, it serves in a lot of ways as a drug free anxiety medication, which is really helpful for me in recovery because I can't use drugs without abusing them. So I
Right.
just abstain from them altogether.
And what do you find most challenging about your art practice?
The most challenging thing for me is people who just think that I woke up one day and did this and that it just happens without any effort and expect me to do things, on a whim or for free, or people who just don't respect art as work because it's
Right.
not something that just happens. You have to work at it.
I had so many people say to me, "Oh, you're so lucky, it must be so fun to be an artist." And there are definitely aspects of it. I love what I do, but just like any other job, there are times where it is a lot of work. And I know that you're similar to me in that your art is very much about is your process, right? It's like for me, it's very therapeutic, and sometimes there's a lot of stuff to work through while doing the art.
Absolutely. I've worked in factories, restaurants, and a lot of times working next to a hot machine or a hot oven, doing the same thing over and over again, can actually be more relaxing than making art because I don't have to think about that and there aren't any expectations or
Right.
pressures.
You don't get caught in your head about what people are going to think about your art, how people are going to value it. And unlike something academic that's a job that you do it and you go to work and you produce something tangible and it serves the purpose and it's like an actual thing, a machine or whatever. Like with art, it's so personal and it's hard to do a piece of art and produce it, especially when you do a commission, and and then trust that the person is going to like it and it's going to fulfill their vision.
Exactly. Are they going to appreciate it as much as you did while you created
And
it?
are they going to realize how much time and effort we put in?
It's almost like being a surrogate parent and then raising the child and then giving it away.
Exactly. I feel like so much of my art, they're my babies, and sometimes it's hard to let go. And
Yeah.
some you have to keep, but you know, it's another kind of thing where when you're doing art, you often have to have 20 different jobs because it doesn't pay a steady income. So it's a lot of work. But
Yeah. I honestly haven't made money off of art since I retired from tattooing. That's really the only
So-
professional context in which I've ever created art.
but I know that you want to have a career as an artist, and you've been really honing your skills over the last few years. And what's your vision? What do you really want to see, and what do you want to do with your art?
Well, like I said, I have studied and pursued several different aspects. I'm really good at portraiture and reproductive work, but ultimately, my goal is to create something that hasn't been seen before, something that isn't reproduced, something that somebody will look at and say, this is completely new to me, and make them ask themselves questions that they've never asked before and maybe learn something about themselves that they didn't know.
I know that you also have been interested in helping some of the youth in Fitchburg to have access to art. Do you want to talk about that just a little bit?
Well, I think even having a tumultuous childhood, as difficult as it was, I was fortunate enough that there was always art and music in my life. It's just something that's always been present for me, and I think that's been an anchor. It's been the one thing that's kept me from getting too far from shore and drowning.
Right. And there are a lot of kids out there who don't have access to art.
Yeah, there are a lot of kids who have that tumultuous childhood but don't have art and music as a daily staple in their life, who could probably benefit a lot from not only the expression, the ability to express themselves without saying things that they've been told not to say, but to help them realize that they have value beyond what they've been told.
That's so commendable. I really hope to collaborate with you in some projects to actually make that happen. So I'm just going to end off with, is there somewhere that people can reach you if they want to talk to you about art?
I do have an Instagram. I meant to write it down on a piece of paper before the interview so that I could show it. It's art_Vandalay.
You want to spell Vandalay?
Vandalay.
Excellent.
Kind of a play on words because I used to be a graffiti artist.
Right.
Art Vandalay was a character on Seinfeld, which is one of my favorite shows.
Right.
I'm a
I
huge fan of
actually
Larry David,
remember.
and I thought it would be funny to make it, oh, you're an Art Vandalay.
Right. I think it's a way of turning around vandalism into something
Yeah.
real, which I think is the difference between graffiti tags and actual mural art, which can be in graffiti style, but is a higher form of art.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of graffiti out there that's done legally and commissioned and is absolutely beautiful.
Absolutely. I'm a big fan of graffiti art as an art form. I sometimes get frustrated when I see people tagging things without respect or awareness for the property owners, or tagging somebody else's artwork or things like that. So hopefully we can elevate people to the high-mindedness of murals as art form.
Yeah, as a former graffiti artist, I think that's another aspect in which I'd like to contribute to the community, because if we can reel in some of these younger graffiti artists that are just starting out and are still vandalizing things and give them a platform where they can express themselves without crossing any lines or hurting anybody or costing somebody undue money or damage or
Right, and they can
painted in some
actually,
form, then that can not just help the community, but it can help that child to
absolutely, they could
develop a
actually,
sense of self-worth.
and they could make money doing it too.
Yeah, there's actually a pretty good market for commercial graffiti art.
Sure,
It's very popular. It's very stylish.
and Fitchburg is becoming known for its mural art,
It
as well
is.
as Worcester and a lot of the surrounding area. So I thank you so much for being here today,
Thank you
and
for having me. It's
I
been a pleasure.
I hope people will reach out and find out more about you.